And we are back with more on Newstalk Saga 960. So very glad you could join us on this edition of the Mark Petrone Show. While he is marching, well, frankly, thousands of kilometers across a huge part of this country, James Topp, a 28-year veteran of the Canadian Armed Forces, marching for freedom, essentially, marching to make a point about the vaccine mandates, the mandates that really have proven to be so draconian, so tough on literally millions of Canadians, many of whom cannot travel. They cannot fly, they cannot take a train, they can't get on a ferry even, literally trapped inside their own country. And we're not just talking about a few people, we're talking about millions of people. And we're talking about millions of others who've literally lost their jobs, lost their livelihoods, having to struggle, all because they made a choice about their own medical handling, their own bodies, essentially, bodily autonomy. And they paid a terrible price. And they continue to do so to this day as the federal government under Justin Trudeau continues stubbornly to cling to mandates that really are no longer relevant. And so we're going to bring James on to talk about this situation, talk about his march. At the moment, he's a little east of Thunder Bay, Ontario, having already traveled a very, very long way from the west. And so the person who really linked with James was Andy Lee, of course, who's a regular contributor to the Mark Petrone Show, coming to us from Calgary in the beautiful province of Alberta. Welcome to the show, Andy.
Good morning. It's good to see you again, Mark. Yeah, I've been really excited about this talk. I've been really excited to connect with James. So it's good that we're finally getting a chance to do this talk. It's probably good that we were delayed, actually, because he did get some coverage in the media, but unfortunately that coverage wasn't really the sort of coverage that he wanted to get. And I thought it was a little bit unfair. So just some background, if you don't know him, his name's James Topp. He's a 28-year-old Canadian Armed Forces veteran. He's a warrant officer, so he's very high up in the chain of command. So he's marching to the nation's capital. He started in Vancouver from BC, placed February 20th. So he's been marching for almost 3 months now already. He did it, across the prairies in the dead of winter. You can imagine what that was like. He does about 50 kilometers a day. And so he's going to end, and he set out actually on the very same day that the Freedom Convoy in Ottawa was cracked down. And he's going to finish at the War Memorial in Ottawa on June 22nd. So he was actually forced from his job because of vaccine mandates. And he was sort of inspired by the Freedom Convoy. Now, this is his own movement, right? He's not associated with, the Freedom Convoy officially, but, he was inspired by that and sort of set out on his own journey, to raise awareness about vaccine mandates, people who have lost their job like him, people who have had their mobility rights taken away. And again, so unfortunately, very similar to what we saw during the truckers' convoy, when we see mainstream media giving him coverage, it wasn't sort of the coverage that we wanted. So we wanted to really bring him on and set that record straight.
Well, let's do that right now, shall we? Let's bring James. Sorry, what's that, Andy?
Oh, he's marching right now, so he's going to be a little bit choppy. But yeah, let's bring him in.
Okay, all right. Let's bring James Topp in. He is about 50 kilometers east of Thunder Bay, beautiful part of the country in Ontario. Welcome, James.
Hi, how are you?
Excellent, thank you.
Can you hear me all right?
This is quite a trek for you, James. Talk about how it's been as you have walked across the country, raising awareness about an issue you obviously feel extremely passionate about. Tell everybody, first off, why you are marching and how it's been going for you up to now.
Yeah, that's good. I'll clarify a couple of things. So I'm not necessarily, this isn't about anti-vaccine movements or anything like that. Vaccine mandates are just a part of why I'm doing this. I just want to make that perfectly clear. This is me marching, okay? We're not walking, this is a march because walking has a kind of a different meaning in this. And we're marching with a purpose, and the purpose is to bring to the forefront awareness about this kind of government policy and where it's going to take us. And vaccine mandates are just a small part of that. So I just want to clarify that. And number two,
Okay.
I'm a warrant officer in the Canadian Army. I still am in the reserves, and we can get to that in a moment. But I just want to make it perfectly clear. I am not a high up in the food chain when it comes to being a warrant officer. That's my rank. At best, I'm probably like a middle to upper middle management if you were to compare it to a corporate structure, okay? However, I feel that it's important as somebody who has to look after the welfare of the troops that work for him or her. I'm doing what I'm supposed to be doing and speaking on their behalf. And what we have happening right now is a number of folks in the public service, federal government workers, who, because they chose to exercise a choice and retain their bodily autonomy or not to disclose medical information, that they are suffering for it. So they've been held back, their paychecks have been held back. They have had, if they're contract workers, their contracts have not been removed. If they're the armed forces, they're being released under a release item code that prohibits you from further service within the government. Okay, so it's called the 5F. Those are the reasons why I'm marching. I'm protesting against that treatment of government workers, and also, to a different point, I'm also protesting the treatment of corporate workers who've also lost their employment. Because since I started this on February the 20th, we left in Vancouver, I've encountered numerous people in the corporate sector who have also lost their employment. And this is everything from manufacturing to airlines. So this is where we are at with this situation. It's important to me that I do everything I can to bring to our officials, our representatives in the federal government, in the House of Commons, make it perfectly clear to them the damage that's been done, and it's also the level of coercion that was put into place for everybody still working in the federal government, and what they had to do that probably went against their best judgment, but they did it anyway because they needed to keep their paychecks, keep food on the table for the family, or they were threatened with the loss of their pensions. So that's what I'm doing. That's what I'm about. As it stands right now, we've crossed over hill and dale, mountain and prairie. We've encountered some of the worst weather, and we're going at it because we believe in what we're doing. And ultimately, we're going to arrive at the War Memorial and the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. I'm going to get there. I'm going to hopefully meet a lot of fellow veterans and hopefully some folks still serving.
All right.
Because
Have you encountered
I can go to the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. I want to go there, put my hand on it, and put my hand on my heart and say I did everything I could to preserve freedom in this country.
All right. So tell me about some of the challenges that you've encountered in your long march, James.
In the initial stages, there was a conditioning a phase where this is something that I did in the military for 28 years, okay? I did a lot of marching. My background is infantry. When I saw what was happening in Ottawa earlier this year, I was inspired by it. It gave me hope. I saw a group of Canadians coming together to protest against something that they all believed was wrong. And in that way, I felt this march is something that I can do in my way to call attention to this issue, to this problem.
Okay.
So when this started on February the 20th, I've been out of action, quote unquote, with regards to marching for a little while. So there was a physical conditioning phase. And, we all encountered it. Swollen ankles, feet issues, soreness, all that stuff. Then we encountered, the physical challenges of going over the mountains. We crossed the Rocky Mountains on Highway 3, Crow's Nest Pass. And then there was the prairies. The prairies in themselves, while the terrain is a little bit more conducive to marching in a straight line, we definitely had days and weeks of cold wind blowing in our faces. So there was that challenge, and that was counterbalanced by, the ability for us to meet folks along the way. Initially we had thought we're going to make this a self-funded effort, but it just became larger than we anticipated. The effort of it and the scale, scope, and size, we realized that we're going to have to accept help. And Canadians, as they are, were keen to help us. So that counterbalanced some of the challenges that we faced. And the way they helped us, kind of opening their homes to us, making meals available, giving donations so that in the event we had to sleep in a motel, then we could do that. Because if we hadn't had their help in this, we wouldn't have made it this far, this fast.
All right. I know that Andy has some questions for you as well.
Sure.
And Andy, go ahead. I know you've probably wanted to get in. So what do you have to ask James?
It's good. I just wanted, I really just wanted to talk to James and talk to him because I'm having a moment here, right? When I think of, sorry, you guys know me. I'm very emotional. So I just want to hear, that somebody who's served his country for as long as James has, has to do this, and he's lost his job. It's really just representative of the shameful state that our country's in. Sorry, I'm going to get myself together here, but I do want to talk about, I want to talk about this article that came out. And so, you're doing this incredible thing, and, you're getting a lot of support, but you need a lot more support because, you're right, you can't do it by yourself. So that's why we're here to get it. And unfortunately, there was a news article that was put out by our mainstream media. So I did want to address that. The headline was Canadian soldier charged. And so that was about you. And
Right.
for speaking out against COVID-19 vaccine mandate in uniform. So that headline, right in and of itself, makes it sound like you were charged criminally. And that wasn't the case at all.
Let's hear from James explain exactly what happened.
Yeah. So I want to
Go
clear
ahead.
that up.
You want to address that?
I want James to
Yeah,
talk.
100%. So within days of having went on TikTok, made a video in uniform, and then attending a rally in uniform for the sole purpose of getting the attention of somebody in the media so I could make my announcement. And I made my announcement, two things that I did with those videos. To clearly state why I was doing what I was doing, and then to state what I was going to do. And I did that in uniform for the reason of attracting the attention of those serving in uniform so that they could realize that there was people out there who probably felt the same way they did, and they felt the same way I did. They could probably stand up and make their voices heard, because just because we're wearing a uniform working for the federal government doesn't we have the right to express our concerns and say what we're going to say. Now, because this violated certain social media policies that are enforced within the Canadian Armed Forces, I am being charged with 2 counts of NDA, National Defense Act, Section 129. The exact verbiage of it, it's conduct contrary or prejudice to good order and discipline. The exact verbiage slips my mind right now, but
okay, it sounds like it sounds like a trumped up charge of the kind that.
No, it's actually quite a common. It's quite a common charge within the armed forces. It's a catch-all, typically for bad behavior. Okay, so.
Okay, so you're charged under the military law, right?
Yes, not under the National Defense Act.
Not under criminal code, right?
No, not at all.
Fair enough. So
not at all. So
when the media reported that you were charged obviously that creates an image in the minds of public, which is not necessarily factual in this case. Mark
Well,
Petroni on Saga 960, speaking with James Topp and Andy Lee. James joining us now east of Thunder Bay and marching to Ottawa, marching for freedom, marching to push back for a number of reasons. And he explains it on his website as to the reasons why he's doing this, but largely, in no small degree, it is to push back against the mandates that have cost so many people their jobs, their livelihood, and their freedom. Because many people in this country, as you know, James, they can't fly, they can't take a train legally because of their vaccination status. And I realize that you're marching for more than that, but that's a good part of the reason why you are marching. And I wanted you to talk a little bit about the convoy, how that inspired you. Are you getting support from a lot of the truckers? And by the way, were you punished in any way for your support for the convoy, the trucker convoy?
Yeah, I wanted to just read a statement here. So this was from, so our friends at Epic Times put out an article about you after, the Global News article came out about the charges. So it says that you were charged under Section 129, contrary to conduct to the prejudice of good order and discipline. So, and the other man who was charged with you, and so these charges did stem, according to this article, because you supported the Freedom Convoy. So that was a little bit, and it's not the first time I've heard of this. So for your the other man who was charged, McPherson, it says that he was fined $500. But you chose a court martial instead, and they dismissed the charges. Is that correct, or is that still pending?
yeah, just to back that up for a second. Number one, I'm being charged because I released videos in uniform, uh, speaking out or criticizing government policies. So that's the charge. I'm not being charged for quote unquote supporting the truckers or the Freedom Convoy.
Okay.
So yeah, you're right. That is misleading. And what I think is happening here is there an attempt to conflate what I'm doing with the Freedom Convoy. And this, I just want to make it perfectly clear. What I'm doing is not the Freedom Convoy. So because what various policymakers and members of parliament, I think, are concerned about is that what I am doing is a continuation of the Freedom Convoy, and it's not. I have a very clear idea of what I want to do and who I want to talk to. I have posted the items that I want to talk to, about to our website, and anybody can go there and read them. So these charges are pending when the DND releases their information. I'm not sure if it's coming right for them or whether it's being misinterpreted by others. But the fact is, I'm not being charged for supporting the Freedom Convoy. I'm being charged because I spoke out in uniform.
All right, so you were in uniform. Why is James Topp marching? Here it is on your website. James is protesting federal government mandates that requires a condition for employment or continued employment, vaccination, testing, quarantine, and/or isolation. James has stepped forward to speak on behalf of those personnel employed by the federal government or otherwise who have been denied access to employment and services, who have lost income and have suffered from damaged relationships due to the imposition of a medical procedure. James has also stepped forward to speak on behalf of those who have, through the introduction of false constructs surrounding choices and consequences, been pressured into taking a medical procedure or medical procedures that would not otherwise have accepted. Okay, so there you go on your website. Who are you hoping to speak with in Ottawa? James, who are you going to speak with in Ottawa? Which members of parliament?
The list is not up for public consumption as of yet, but right now, yes, it is, as I've just been informed. There's a section of the website you're going to have to navigate to. It's under support, MP letters, and where we're doing We have been told that there's 9, possibly 10 members of parliament now who have agreed to meet with us so that I can bring to them the concerns that I have, and the concerns and the agenda items that we're going to talk to them about are basically can be summed up in 3 R's. Okay, so it's repealing mandates, it's reinstating workers, it's restitution for wages lost, and we've also added a third, so we're calling it 3+1. And the fourth R that we want to talk to them about is repair, because somehow we need to do something to repair this divide that's been created in Canadian society.
Have you asked to meet with any of the Conservative Party leadership candidates?
Well, they've all got letters. So there's 338 members of parliament. 338 letters were emailed and mailed to every member of parliament, those including ministers, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
leadership candidates of the Conservative Party have not contacted me except for
Okay. Your
Yeah.
audio has okay. So you've tried to contact leadership candidates, and none of them have reached out to you. Just
I
yet.
haven't tried to contact them. I've contacted
You only
acting
contacted
members
all
of
them.
parliament.
You're right. Well, that's all. Of
Yeah,
them.
just to make it
Not-
perfectly clear. So I have not reached
Josh
out to
Cadet
any
is not a
leadership
member of
candidates
Parliament.
in the Conservative Party. I've reached out to
Okay.
members of parliament.
Okay, fair enough. Are they all conservatives, the people that you're going to be meeting, or are
No.
all parties?
I don't think so. But there's definitely a pattern emerging from the people who have said yes.
What's that pattern, James?
I don't know. So how many of them are conservatives and others? You know,
Say exactly.
you're gonna have to look it up. I don't have it on hand.
Yeah, do you
Okay.
want to pull that up on the website, Mark? Maybe.
Yeah, I'm looking for it. The
So where is it? Support?
MP
Yeah.
Yeah, but the list of MPs.
Oh, we haven't published that.
Yeah, so we haven't published the list yet. Sorry.
you haven't
My
published the list
mistake.
of members of parliament. Okay, fair enough. All right, so you're off to Ottawa, and when do you expect to arrive? June the 22nd, is it? Or
So there's 2 dates, okay? June 22nd was used as a placeholder date back when we had made the assessment of the time frame it was going to take for us to get to Ottawa on foot, and we had to adjust our estimate of the time it's going to take for us to get to Ottawa. So basically, the 22nd of June is the date that we proposed, and we're going to stick with that because I know that, trying to get a member of parliament, there's times is limited, and I can't just propose a broad array of dates. So we stick with the 22nd of June. We have a venue. We have a time frame. We've asked for them to be there, or we're trying to work with them. And the 22nd of June, wherever I am in Ontario at that particular time, the day before, I'm going to drive into Ottawa so I can be at that meeting and have this meeting with them. So just to be clear, it's not just going to be me. There'll be select others that can speak on their concerns. However, the 22nd of June, I will be driving in for this meeting. The 30th of June is when I will actually be marching in to the War Memorial on the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier.
do you expect any issues with the police?
Yeah, we actually had a... Sorry, what was the question?
Do you expect any problems with police, with law enforcement?
No, I don't. We have sent letters to 4 offices: the Ontario Provincial Police, the Ottawa Police, the Mayor of Ottawa, or at least his office, and the Premier's office. It's clearly stating what we're doing and why we're doing it. As of yet, we were contacted by a liaison from the Ontario Provincial Police. We explained what we're doing, and they didn't seem to have any issues. So I don't, unless the Ottawa Police have something to say about what we're doing. I've clearly stated that this is not meant to block traffic or disrupt the flow of the daily lives of the working Canadians. We're going there for the express purpose of getting to the War Memorial so that, once we've had our meeting with members of parliament on June the 30th, we can announce, at least in a preliminary way, the kind of results of that meeting on June the 30th.
All right. So once that takes place, then what? You march back, or what are your plans after?
Well, that's going to depend on the outcome of the meeting, and
Okay.
that information will be revealed once
All right. Well, what
the
if you
meeting
don't get what you want?
concludes.
What if the government says, yeah, thanks for coming, James, but we're not interested in changing anything about what we're doing as far as our.
Then I'm going to keep marching. I'm going to keep marching to Newfoundland, and I'm going to keep connecting with various groups to raise awareness on the issue, and I'm going to keep encouraging them to become active in politics, educate themselves on what they need to do to make their voices heard, such as contact their members of parliament, write letters, become active, tell them that they're unhappy with the situation, and start pressuring their members of parliament to do something.
Now, the people of Ottawa have made it clear, well, a lot of them anyway, they're tired of protests. They pushed back against the convoy. They pushed back against the motorcycle group that came, the Rolling Thunder. Now you're going to Ottawa. What kind of a reception are you expecting from the citizens of that city?
Well, a good one, I hope. I'm going there as a veteran with a bunch of other veterans to pay tribute to the War Memorial and to raise issues about our concerns with how our freedoms are being slowly but surely eroded. So why they would have a problem with that is something I wouldn't be able to comprehend.
Well, I tend to agree with you, but
Well,
people
yeah.
are funny. Go ahead, Andy.
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say, yeah, I'm concerned. I hope that we don't see something similar to what we saw, because I understand. Are you supported by Veterans for Freedom, and are you working with Veterans for Freedom?
Yeah, absolutely. Got one of them standing right behind me.
Perfect. Yeah, because you guys, when you guys did your Rolling Thunder protest, and that was, very well messaged, and yeah, perfect. There we go. And there was a lot of collaboration between the Rolling Thunder protest. I was there. There was a lot of work with police, but at the same time, we also saw a lot of mixed messaging. Like Ottawa police were putting out these wild statements about, they were going to have, a hate crimes unit on standby, and all that was just so overblown and totally unnecessary. So I would hate to see that, sort of rhetoric ramp up again as you approach Ottawa, so that you don't get a good reception for what you're doing, because what you're doing is just so incredible, right? I mean, who marches across the country? Almost nobody would do this. Many people
Right.
couldn't. So I would hate to see that play out again, and it would be really great to get you good reception in Ottawa. And we want to keep on following you.
Well, that's a good point. And I think we could make that happen if we're able to kind of get around, like we are currently in a kind of media blockade with regards to legacy media not paying any attention, to kind of circle back to the whole charges issue. They were quick, I noticed, to publish an article about how I'm being charged, but in no way, shape, or form did they mention anything about what I'm doing right now. And that's been ongoing since I started this. There was one attempt by somebody from CBC at the beginning to reach out to me, and hasn't been repeated. And we're in the process of trying to negotiate an interview with the CBC morning show out of Winnipeg, as I understand it. But other than that, we've had no coverage from CBC or CTV. And if we were able to get some positive coverage, then I'm sure we would get a good response in Ottawa.
Yeah, I wouldn't count on positive coverage from people who were so vehemently opposed to the convoy on behalf of government. So
I think you're right.
Well,
good luck with that. But you can try. Certainly.
yeah, well, you know what? I'm going to try, because that's what we do.
Yeah.
I don't just shrug my shoulders and say good luck with that.
No, I mean, I think that
I'm just telling you, I know the people you're dealing with, but good for you for continuing. Andy, did you have a final question for James?
Yeah, I was going to say, I do think that we're going to see, unfortunately, they're going to try to attach you to, all these terms that they use, occupation. Oh my gosh, we've got a soldier coming to occupy the war memorial. So, but hopefully we don't see that, because, like I said, what you're doing is just phenomenal. And the
Thank you.
dedication
How
that
do
you're
how do people support you? Ask
how do
him
we
that.
support you, right? What do
Okay.
we do? Where do you post your stuff? How do people come out and meet you in town? And uh, would you like us to come out? I mean, do you want people to come out June 30th to Ottawa and hear how you're meeting?
Sure.
You want
Yeah, we have a website. You can see our information there. We got in. We're setting up like a T-shirt shop, and like the way that we're approaching Ottawa is along Highway 17, and if you want to drive out and see us on the road, we're typically on the road from 8 till 7 in the evening. And hey, how you doing? We got numerous ways that you can just come up and say hello. All I would say is if you're on the highway and you want to pull over and say hello, then please be careful. Try to do it in the safest possible manner. Buy some stuff if you want. Direct donations are there. We typically have meet and greets in all of the towns that we're going through, so you can come to those. And we have one going on in Thunder Bay on Tuesday, May 24th. Even though we passed through Thunder Bay, we're going to go back and have a little talk with folks. So that's just different ways. And if you guys want to support, then get the word out about what we're doing. It's been 93 days since we've been doing this, and really not that much attention has been paid to this in the way it probably should be. Not that any of us is looking for fame. We're not looking to make money here. I'm looking to go to Ottawa, make my voice heard, because I'm speaking on behalf of a number of folks who were negatively impacted by mandates.
All right.
Yeah,
Well,
well,
thank you.
we want to keep on following you and touching in with you. And like I said, I'd really love to fly out and meet you on the 22nd. It would probably be before the 22nd, but to find out how successful you are meeting with those MPs, how receptive they are to your message. Have they changed since the days of the Freedom Convoy? And are they ready to listen and be more collaborative with what their citizens want and take action? So I'm hoping to really meet you out there. And of
Okay,
course,
well, all I would say is, yeah, just pump the brakes on the 22nd, because number one, the members of parliament are going to have a variety of security concerns and publicity concerns about this, and I'm going to respect that. However, the 30th of June, anybody wants to come out there, hi, and meet us, then why not? It's your city too.
yeah, and of course we know what's coming up right after the 30th, right?
All right. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So
Thank you.
All
thank
right.
you,
Take
James.
care, James.
Good luck and be
All
safe.
right. Yeah, exactly. Well, that's the other thing, you got to be
Okay,
safe.
thank you. Thank you for your time.
All right. Bye-bye.
Much.
Bye now.
All right. James Topp coming to us.
Oh,
We got,
eh?
well, lots of comments as well. So I've put them
wow.
up. I mean, I can't imagine marching as
Well,
far as he has. I mean,
you would think
that's
by
astonishing.
now, you would think by now he would have an entire film crew just following him.
Yeah. Well, he should.
was
I mean, it's a big enough story. Absolutely.
It's a huge story, but it's the same thing that we saw in the Freedom Convoy, right? Remember the early days?
Yeah.
I
Oh,
don't want to
absolutely.
link him to that, but remember how everybody was like, it's not going to be a movement. It's a dozen trucks, right? Nothing's going to happen. So I think it's the same sort of downplay. Like if we don't address this, it's not really going to happen. But I do think he's really inspiring, and talking to him, he's very level-headed. He's very well-spoken. He has actually succeeded in opening a dialogue with MPs and getting a meeting, and that's further than many of us have got. So that's incredible. So I think downplaying it's the wrong thing. I think that by the time he closes in on Ottawa, it's going to be very, very big. And I think June 30th is going to be a big day in Ottawa. So
I would expect so. All right, Andy, thank you for your work on this. It's brilliant.
yeah, well,
Good
we'll
for
be
you.
back again, right? And,
Yeah,
nice.
we gotta follow this one for sure. All
We
right,
do. We got to touch
thank
in
you.
with him and keep track of him, right?
All
He's
right,
just so fantastic.
Andy Lee, thank you. We'll see you. And I got to take a brief time out, commercial break. Back with more on Newstalk Saga 960 and the Mark Petronas Show after this.